This is Twit.
We've been tracking the Huawei drama. I feel like this is the soap opera of Huawei.
No longer a security threat to the United States of America.
Well, there's Flo. Do you want to do the story?
No. Sorry.
So we try to avoid politics generally on the show, but it's hard with this story to avoid it. But in a stunning, unprecedented 180 and turnaround by the American government, Huawei has now been deemed that American companies can do business with them once again, which puts Huawei back in the mix in the Android world. Now, it doesn't take Huawei completely out of the fire. Huawei is still on the Commerce Department's entity list, which means that they're still on, dealing with the China-U.S. relations. But this statement by the American government allows Google and Intel and Qualcomm and other companies to provide services to Huawei. And basically, this all happened at the G20 summit, or coming out of the G20 summit, where the U.S. and China have resumed trade talks. And, whatever you want to say about all that. But I, for one, am disappointed by this news because I really wanted to see what Huawei came up with an alternate operating system for Android. And I hope this doesn't mean we'll never see it. Matteo, have you been tracking the drama of Huawei? I assume you have been.
Yes, I have been, and it's been very, very interesting to see posturing at both sides of this story.
Indeed.
Both the U.S. government and the Chinese government and Huawei, and essentially the narrative hasn't changed that much over the last few months. What has changed, I think, is from the US side, how many US businesses were starting to be negatively affected by this. Google, for example, couldn't really go into a new product's release cycle with the next version of Android 10, with the second largest smartphone manufacturer in the world not being fully on board with their flavor of Android. So I think this is something that has been on the cards for a while. It's just been put off. And we're back to business as usual with Huawei and US businesses. The issue will be, I think, more in the long run. How will this affect Huawei's commitment to new versions of Android? How dependent will they want to be on US businesses going forward to avoid this issue happening again? This was going to be very interesting to watch, and also to see how other Chinese smartphone manufacturers, companies like Oppo, Xiaomi, and others, how much are they going to want to depend on US relations to make their products? So whilst we won't see Hongmeng, Huawei's own operating system that runs Android apps, in the near future, it won't be as far back on the back burner as it used to be. I think that this will be actively developed a little bit more.
I'm going to be curious how this trickles down to other Chinese companies. I mean, is this just going to make people scared to work with us? Because
that's the thing, is that this threat will be hanging over all Chinese U.S. relations.
It's a political thing now. This is a political thing, so it's not just business. This was solved at the G20 summit, which is a very political thing.
Yeah. And the thing is, after you.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying, I'm sure there was also a little bit of hinting from the Chinese government along the lines of, oh, you have all these fruity devices and container vessels about to be shipped over to the US. I think you need to fill in Form P30 and Mate 20 Pro before we can let these container vessels leave port. Think of how damaging potentially it could be to have a year with no iPhone release because of this trade war.
Oh, overseas, you mean?
Well, let's not go too far, Matteo. How damaging could it? I mean, like,
it would be great for the Android ecosystem.
We do love conspiracy theories here at All About Android.
That's the real challenge. Where do we embrace our patriotism or our loyalty to the green Android character? But no, you got to hope that it doesn't, start this, if this trade, conflict continues or takes another turn, it doesn't impact services like shipping and stuff like that. Because not just because of think how damaging it will be if a shipment of phones don't get there, but think how damaging if a shipment of the long list of products that are now made in China don't make it to the U.S. You know, things that we've become dependent on because manufacturing has left this country, and so it's definitely a delicate issue, and it's interesting to see Huawei become the political football that was kind of in the middle of it. And if I'm Huawei, I don't stop developing Hopmeng. You keep doing everything you're doing.
Now they need a backup plan.
Yeah, because guess what? Next week he can go in the opposite direction again. Mm-hmm. There's no guarantee here.
Mm-hmm.
No.
True. But let's face it, Huawei have been essentially Google-less in China since they started making smartphones. It's nothing new to them. It's just they had to have a compelling product for outside of China without Google services, which was the interesting challenge they would have had. Luckily for us and the majority of consumers outside China, this hasn't had to happen. But I'm sure that Huawei will be constantly thinking about what are they going to do without depending on US businesses that much.